Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, we have a lot to talk about. Thank you so much for joining today. It is always great to get to talk to you Dodgers Dogs out there. And wow, what a game yesterday. I really enjoyed watching the game yesterday. Of course, this is kind of the dog days of spring training. All your prospects have been out there 2 or 3 different times. You know who they are, that kind of thing. So it's hard to find new storylines sometimes. But I'll tell you what, there were some pretty good storylines, and if you're a Dodgers fan, yesterday had to be a whole lot of fun for you. So we have a lot of coverage today. We're going to cover both the River Ryan and the Ryder Ryan outings yesterday. Obviously, Emmett Sheehan. And then another guy we're going to cover pretty heavily today is a guy I have not covered yet. To be honest with you, not very familiar with him as far as his past, but kind of diving into him. Super excited to get to know Antoine Kelly. I think we'll probably see him in AAA Oklahoma City. He's a guy that's a big left-hander, 6'5" lefty with that big sweeper and a pretty big fastball. And he's been a guy in the past that has been someone for his kind of, I don't know, I call it a whiplashes, loose type of delivery. Antoine Kelly has been somebody that's considered to be a good strike thrower for the type of mechanics he has. So there's a lot to talk about. I want to talk to you. I have put the link in the chat, so if you want to hop on in, come on and do that, and we can talk to you, and we can talk some great Dodgers baseball. So the first thing that I wanted to do here, though, let's just dive right into it, and let's talk about the River Ryan outing yesterday, and let's get after that, and let's go ahead and talk about River Ryan, and let's get that going right here. Let me click that start button there, and let's talk about River Ryan. Of course, yesterday he reached 98.5, and I'll tell you what, you could not get more impressive than what River Ryan was yesterday. No, he gave up the home run. He got behind in the count, and he gave up an opposite field home run. I don't care, okay? That's going to happen from time to time, especially when you're a power profile type of pitcher. Not worried about the home run whatsoever. What I am worried about is that River Ryan looked extremely healthy as he's looked in a long time. The velo was fantastic. The slider was absolutely sick. He was throwing them back to back. He was tumbling them together. And just basically, River Ryan was a complete badass yesterday. So here's the deal about him. It's super exciting to think, hey, we have River Ryan back, and we do, and that's an awesome thing to think about. What I would like to say, though, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, is that he is coming off of Tommy John. There is a process to getting things back into order. And so I know the Dodgers are like, well, you got to put him in the – there's a lot of fans that are like, you got to put him in the rotation in front of Roki Sasaki. And I would pump the brakes on that, not because I don't think River Ryan's awesome, just because I think the least that he's going to have, the Dodgers have this down to a science. Most of the time when they get these guys coming back off of Tommy John, it's a fairly slow ramp up. Even though maybe it doesn't have to be, the Dodgers will do it that way. Even if it's something to where they don't have to, because they know exactly how to deal with this. And so because of that, they a lot of times ramp things up at a slow rate. So we'll get back to the River Ryan talk. We have a guest. Chuck Huddleston is in the house. So Chuck, what's up, man?
Not too much, Casey. I thought I'd join and give you a chance to get a breath once in a while.
Absolutely. I love it. You know I love it on these. I love talking to you anytime, Chuck.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern right now is probably Roki, because see that he's going to pitch on the backfields in a B game. And through the years when I've seen that happen, that's when they have some questions about putting him in front of the crowd and working on things. So I was thinking about Roki, and I go, he kind of reminds me of a orchestra instrument that's hard to tune. I don't know if there's something wrong with the fret, is there's this or that, but he's got to have everything just perfect to go. I mean, you could play at the Philharmonic if you knew you weren't going to go out of tune.
Sure.
And he's, do you take that chance? And I think, he's got all the talent in the world, but it just seems like it's hard to keep everything together, coordinated in line for him, and he gets off a little bit. Then you have the mental aspect. Then you can just see it in his eyes that, okay, something doesn't go quite well. He has that little look, and you go, oh no, don't go that direction. If it doesn't get going well soon, then he starts going off in a direction that he probably makes adjustments he shouldn't be making. He should probably just try to repeat that 2 or 3 more times. I'm just kind of concerned. He's got all the talent in the world, and they'll probably get it worked out. But they keep saying, well, there was a lot of time left in spring, but now it's getting to be there's not a lot of time left.
Oh, right, and he's 24, so there's still a lot of time for him. But still, that's an age where there's still some urgency to it too.
And it's a season when everything's going so well. So to find something to worry about, we got to go worry about Roki right now.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt about it. But I'll say this about him. Basically a 2-pitch pitcher, and he doesn't necessarily execute all those. I know he's tried to incorporate the cutterish type pitch, halfway cutter, half slider, but when you're only a 2-pitch pitcher and your fastball's as flat as he is, here's where I think he goes off the rails. Whenever you only have 2 pitches and one of them is not dominant, like his fastball is not, although we thought it was going to be, and then the other one's inconsistent, it forces you to be so perfect with execution that sometimes that does get in your head. And I think he knows that he has to be so perfect with his execution that I think that actually makes him press, and that's why he doesn't execute very well.
And if it wasn't for everything around him, including the Japanese press, the best thing for him would be to go to AAA until he gets it right. 2 starts, 3 starts, 4 or 5, and just let him. But he's under the microscope. It's worse than for most players because he has Japan too looking at him wherever he goes. So, and then there's a lot of issues with the Japanese players too about pride and that sort of stuff. So he has a more difficult situation than American players have.
He absolutely does. So, the Roki Sasaki thing, I think they are going to press that. And so I think he is going to get every chance to continue to be in the starting rotation. Okay, but here's River Ryan. What did you think about River Ryan's outing yesterday? I could not have been more impressed.
I loved it. I didn't even care about the home run because I've seen him working on stuff. He's a little bit he's missing his spots just a little bit, but I think that he's going to tune that in. And we saw how dominant he was before he got hurt. And I think that it's, everything's still there, like a strain. His rhythm looked awesome, and the ball just popped at 99.
It absolutely did. But here's the thing. Here's what I would warn people. I know it's super exciting to watch River Ryan and what he's doing right now. But I can tell you a couple things about Tommy John. He won't have pain, but it will feel different. And so what happens is while these guys don't feel pain, it doesn't feel the same. So the execution piece takes a little bit longer to get going. So I would warn with that, although he did look good yesterday. And 2, I just know the Dodgers, they're going to play it patient. They're going to play it safe with this guy. They have the depth and the runway to not have to force him back in. So I would just kind of urge the Dodgers fans, as excited as they may be, to have a little bit of patience in terms of how the Dodgers view River Ryan's role here.
Well, based on what you just said, then that means to me that he's got to learn that because he doesn't know that yet. So he's got to happen quite a few times where this is normal and it's going to feel like this because it's not going to feel like it used to feel. I didn't know that, but that kind of tells me like, okay, well, let him get comfortable with that's how normal is now.
Yeah, right. And here's the thing too. Dave mentioned in his interview yesterday with Kirsten that the roles could change for him. He could be a piggyback like he was yesterday off him at Sheehan, being basically the second starter where he goes 3-4 innings off of a starter. He could be a starter. He could be a bullpen piece. So it was very intentional how they used River Ryan yesterday. And I think what Dave kind of alluded to yesterday was with the Tommy John, with the arm being the way he is, I see him in the bullpen being kind of a long relief type of guy, like the Ben Kasperius or the Justin Robleski would be.
Yeah, and that could be, but for some reason, I don't know, I just feel like I like him better as a regular starter.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I like that. I want to talk about his brother too, real quick. I was hilarious is when he did the pitch com he did the call the strike from his. They've told the pitchers that the pitchers aren't going to call. To check where the pitch location is. But he struck out 3. And I saw the way he looked in the dugout, I go, uh-oh. But he says, I figured when he came to the dugout, if you strike out the side, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, 100%. So here's kind of the question. Do you want Robo as the starter and River Ryan in relief, or do you want River Ryan in the rotation and Robo in relief? And Here's why. Here's one world where I'm coming at. See what you think about this. If you put Robo in the starting rotation, that allows you to ramp up River Ryan a little bit slower coming off the Tommy John. Not that it wouldn't be better to have River Ryan in the rotation, but just from the injury perspective and getting everything ramped back up. Robo's fully healthy. You put him, you just kind of let him run with the starting rotation. You ramp River Ryan up slowly as a reliever and go about it that way. What do you think about that?
Well, I like Robo in the long. I mean, Robo is going to be incredible, whatever he does. But I like him in the long relief because he handles it so well.
Sure.
If he comes in and it's like a really bad situation, he could be put in the worst situation and get out of it. Where haven't seen it out of River yet. And River, I'm not so sure. Depending on what he does the next couple outings, I might even want him at AAA for a week or two, and then once they get into their heavy schedule, then have him just seamlessly go into the rotation. Mm-hmm. But I mean, right now I'm that way. But I still got a couple weeks to look at him, and I haven't really made it my final conclusion what I would do yet.
Yeah, I just worry that River's not going to be able to go the length that a starter needs to go consistently over and over and over for the first, say, 2 or 3 months of the season. Then you're taxing your bullpen. Then you're kind of into the same issues that we had a couple of years ago, right? So that's kind of my worries with River Ryan. So I ask you this: who would be your starting rotation right now?
Oh, I haven't really, of course, the obvious people. You're going to have Ohtani. You're going to have,
Glasnow. Yamamoto.
Sheehan for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one spot really.
So kind of my question, that's kind of where I'm at there. I mean, I think that's where we're at this point. I think both Justin Robleski and River Ryan will have roles on the Major League club. I don't think you can leave. I think Roki Sasaki is going to take one of those spots. So you're looking at either Justin Robleski or River Ryan for that last spot. So until Blake Snell gets back. So I think that's kind of where the conversation we're having here.
If I thought we were going to be in a pennant race from day one all the way through the end of September, it would probably be Robo, because I think we got to win every single game.
And we have to have some length from our starters, yes.
Exactly. But to me, with the way this team constituted, I think they're going to, unless things just go off the rails, we're going to win by 10 games, probably the division. I would be more like, I'm just thinking about how I situate myself and about injuries. And one thing you made me think about River too is coming off the surgery. Maybe we don't want to load him up the whole year and have him pitch 175 innings either. We want him
just pitch him in relief. Let him have a slow leash, and then you can move him to the starting role if you need to as the season goes on. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm coming more around to your way of thinking about that.
Yeah. So. Boy, how impressive was, of course, he's my boy, so keep that in mind. He's my OSU boy. And let me get some video over here. Justin Robleski, 6 pitches, the changeup's coming along, the back foot sweepers, big time, the 2-seam, the 4-seam, all of it. Justin Robleski just looked fantastic. Now, how do you take put close to 100 miles an hour left-handed, and then he has 6 different pitches and not give that guy 4 to 5 innings every time he goes out, right? I mean, Justin Robleski's been fantastic.
Oh, he has something you rarely see in a left-hander too. To have all those, that's so. An average left-hander can have a job in the major leagues, and this guy's an exceptional left-hander.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree.
That's incredible. Yeah,
totally agree. And the command, it's like Tomatley's saying here, the changeup. So the secondaries, it's all the fastball has always been good for Robleski. We've known that. We know he has, even though he doesn't have the great extension, he still has good carry to it. We always have known the fastball was going to play at the major league level. It was going to come down to the secondaries, and now you're seeing a good slider, you're seeing a good sweeper type pitch to the back foot, you're seeing a good changeup out of Robleski. So the secondaries are very good. So you're kind of seeing him use that World Series experience last year and have the confidence to take that into spring training to grow his big gulp, if you will, to not just pin himself into his 2 or 3 best pitches, but to grow into being a 6-pitch pitcher. And when you do that, that's whenever you really take that next step.
Well, as good as his talent is, his makeup might be more impressive. And
Hmm.
it's all he's got everything he needs. Long as he stays on track, he should have an amazing career.
He absolutely should. What do you think about Emmett Sheehan yesterday? It was I'm going to put it to you this way, in my opinion, it was very bumpy for Emmett Sheehan. And I think the way that he put it, he was knocking off a lot of rust. It was not very impressive to watch Emmett Sheehan pitch yesterday. Having said that, hey, it's what, a second time out. It's spring training. It's not that big of a deal. But like you said earlier, yeah, you don't want to be that urgent with it. But hey, we're only down to 10 days left until the season starts. So there has to be a certain amount of urgency. He might only have one or two more outings, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I expected him to look like that because
Okay.
of being sick and watching him through the years, the way sometimes he needs a little bit of that fine tuning and even a little bit sometimes is his thinking, the way he's thinking out there about things. He works against himself sometimes. So I think that he's going to be fine. And I saw an interview after the game with the Sportsnet stuff, and he was talking about that. I think he's relying on the coaches to do the tweaks and stuff because they know how he throws and they're making the little adjustments. And he said he's just listening to the coaches. He feels like he'll be fine as long as he does what the coaches say.
Yeah, I kind of got the sense, and I know him pretty well, going all the way back to Boston College. I kind of got the sense of he was pretty frustrated with himself yesterday. I'm not going to lie. Just his mannerisms, the way that he answered questions, I can read his body language pretty good. He came off to me yesterday like he was frustrated.
Yeah, I think that's true. But like I said earlier, I think it was kind of to be expected considering
Good
the way
slider,
it's
though.
gone and he's been sick. So I wasn't surprised by it at all.
Yeah. Hey, another guy I want to get into while I got you on the horn here. Do you got a couple more minutes?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. This is great. So, Antoine Kelly, I have not covered him to this point. I wanted to cover him and talk about him. Let's get him up on the board and talk about some Antoine Kelly here. This is a big left-hander that has a lot of pro experience. Matter of fact, Antoine Kelly has been in pro ball since 2019. So, what happened to what he's been with the Brewers and the Rangers? Matter of fact, I've seen Antoine Kelly pitch quite a bit against the Drillers and the Oklahoma City Comets. So, I'm not real familiar with them. I'm not trying to say that, though. The big sweeping back foot slider, the ones that you just saw right there, you're not seeing it, Chuck, but the fans are seeing the big back foot sweeping slider. The fastball is 95, 96. There's a lot of just kind of whiplash, buggy whip to that delivery, if you will, kind of a loose delivery. And a guy that's always been considered to have a very high ceiling, high potential. He became a free agent after last year because he had the 6 years of service time. He chose the Dodgers. Hey, with his frame, with his whiplash, with his 95, 96 velo that could bump up to 97, 98, with the slider that he has, this is a guy that seriously, I think, now he's obviously not going to start on the roster. I'm not trying to say that. But I think Antoine Kelly's one that as the season starts, I think you need to tune into the Comets, stay pretty attached to them, and follow Antoine Kelly because I think he's a guy that if he marries the Dodgers like a lot of guys have and he reaches his potential, this is a guy that has pretty good stuff. So what did you think about him?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought too much about it until you mentioned him a few days ago on one of the shows. So I kind of tuned in more because I was thinking, didn't know a lot about him, but now I'm paying more attention to him. So will he have options? Because he'd be the perfect guy to go up and down if he
Yes.
could handle it.
Yeah, he
So,
signed a minor league contract, so the Dodgers will be able to
okay.
handle him however they want.
So the thing is, getting him on the 40 man's an issue with the Dodgers too. But they can do it with injuries, And the Dodgers, look how many pitchers they've gone through the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be a spot for any of these guys. But I think, like you said, breaking camp unless something happens with one of the relievers, there's a whole lot of guys fighting for that last spot or
There
two
is.
right now in the bullpen.
There is, and I'll say this, kind of like Nabil Creasmont and Nelson Lamet a couple of years ago. I think if they ended up did put Antoine Kelly eventually on the 40-man, brought him up to the 26, I think you'd be the guy like you did with Nabil Creasmont that you would DFA almost immediately, and then you would see if he would clear waivers, which the first time Nabil Creasmont did clear waivers, he came back to the Dodgers. I would expect Antoine Kelly to do something like that. So the Dodgers have the ability to start him at the minor league level. Once they put him on the 26-40 man, he would then be the guy that you would DFA to get him back to the minor league level. and you would hope that he would clear waivers, and then after he cleared waivers, he would have I think he would have to accept the assignment because he has not been DFA'd to this point in his career. But that's kind of how it would go for him.
Yeah, and how many left-handers are they going to carry at a time on the 26-man makes me kind of wonder.
Yeah.
Another thing, but we're going to see the crunch at the end of spring training. Some of these people that the players that have options to, either make it or leave. But how they'll be talking behind the scenes. Would you pick me up on your team? So it's going to be interesting to see that last day or two when they have to finalize the roster. We pretty much know what the 26 man is going to look like for the Dodgers, but it's going to be interesting to watch. So
we don't know what it's going to look like on the bullpen spot. I think Santiago Espinal has removed a lot of doubt. I'll be interested to see what happens with Ha-Seong Kim, but I think the bullpen. I think there's still squarely a lot of questions to go there.
Yeah, and Espinal's really been blowing it up, but
yes.
He was an All-Star once. So, is he going to come back? He's going to come back to the player who he is, and maybe a little better. But he's
having
not
fun.
Be the guy
he's having fun. He's relaxed.
He
he's comfortable, and he's having fun. As weird as it sounds, even as a pro, you have to have fun in this game. There's too much failure.
Yeah, he's up there swinging loose where Wardo and Freeland aren't swinging loose. Right. They're not up there ready. They're squeezing the sawdust out of the bat. So it's kind of a little difference. Yeah.
You don't want to call that the choke factor, but you do want to. I mean, you do have to recognize, because it's not a choke, but you do have to recognize the fact that both Ryan Ward and Alex Freeland squarely are pressing. They're letting the pressure get the best of them, and they're not handling the pressure at this moment. And because of that, both of them at this moment would start at AAA Oklahoma City.
If they'd had some early success, it would have been a different game, because it's just once you take the pressure off. But it does make you, if you're a general manager or you're the manager, say, okay, if we put these guys on the big stage, how are they going to handle it? If they can't handle it at spring training, trying to win a job, are they going to be able to handle it? And I think for Wardo, I think it's already set what's going to happen with him. He's going to either be traded or they're just going to carry him for depth there at AAA, which is horrible for him because he needs some runway someplace he's got the talent. He's already proved it 2 years. So it just probably won't be with LA.
So who gets that last spot if it comes down to it? Kyle Hurt, Will Klein, Ronan Kopp, maybe an Antoine Kelly, all of those guys together Ryder Ryan, all those guys. Who gets that last spot?
I think right today it's Klein, but it's close. It is
close. I think it's something that it's not necessarily how you start. It might be how you finish. I think that's going to be a spot that the Dodgers are going to want to up down that spot, and so there'll be many different guys take that last role in the bullpen based on the type of arms they need available at any one given time.
I think the most interesting story coming up, not this year, but in a year or two, is going to be how all these outfielders sort out. That's going to be really something to watch.
Which one have you been the most impressed with?
Earnhardt probably number one, and then Tibbs, and then Zaire Hope, because just his body and everything, what he looks like when he's done. But I've seen guys like that even when I was a young guy that they spend too much time in the weight room, and sometimes baseball players can spend too much time in the weight room. I think
you lose some flexibility, no doubt. You have to be able to have what I call that buggy whip effect. And you have to have flexibility to be able to buggy whip the barrel. And so, like you said, you want to be strong, you want to be all that, but you want to gain strength but not lose flexibility. Because if you lose flexibility, you're cutting your nose off to spite your face.
And that can, the weight room can be an addiction. It almost sounds like the weight room is an addiction to him. They say if he's not in the clubhouse, he's in the weight room. And I'm not so sure if management doesn't need to say, hey, just kind of, you're to where you need to be. Let's live for strength, but let's not live for bulk.
I call Zaire Hope the tank because he is just he's built like a tank. So let me ask you this question before I move on to some of the interviews that I want to cover today. What do we do with Kyle Hurt? What do we do with Ryder Ryan?
I love so far. Ryder's been impressive, and Kyle's been. I don't remember how many options any of those folks have, but there's they run people up and down that back to AAA all the time, so they might be guys for that. But they're probably going to force the issue because Dodgers always have injuries. When they start to come, they're going to be I can't see the Dodgers just doing like they're doing in spring training because right now they're not ramping up, so there's no pressure. But once they go out and they have to throw at maximum velocity and they got a maximum spin, you're going to see the weaker arms that have some kind of flaw get injured, and then there's going to be room. That it happens all through baseball, not just the Dodgers. Look at everybody. You need 18 pitchers to get through a season at least.
Yeah. Talk about Ryder Ryan. What do you think the role for him is going to be?
Boy, I don't know. I think they're trying to figure out what the role's going to be for him, because he looks like he could be a starter. I don't know if he can do 6 or 7 the way he's doing it, but that inning yesterday we struck out the side, he looked just as impressive as a brother. He doesn't have the velocity his brother has. It looks like he's sets at about 93, 94, but maybe he can run it up to 95 or 6. But he looks like more of a pitcher that he can, and his breaking stuff looks pretty. Although Rivers is incredible too, so I don't know. He's a poor man's version of River Ryan.
Yeah. So one last guy before we get out here, Noah Miller. What have you thought of it? I think he's been very impressive. The defense is fantastic. Talk about Noah Miller.
Oh, I love Noah, and if Noah hits, man, I would speed up my move of Mookie to second base and put him, because he's going to win you a bunch of games just with his glove. I tell you what, if that guy hit 240 or 250, you'd like every team in baseball would want him, except somebody that has Bobby Witt or someone else, some of these superstars sitting at shortstop. I mean, and you don't want to move him off a shortstop. You want him to stay at shortstop. He might, if he was a reserve, you can move him around, let him play those other spots, but he needs to stay at shortstop. Other people need to move if you have him on your team.
Dalton Rushing, talk about him. One last guy. I've said that a couple times, but talk about Dalton Rushing, what you've thought about him. Had a rough day yesterday, but he's shown some signs to get more comfortable as of late.
Yeah, he looks a lot more comfortable. I see some at bats. He's made a couple, I think, bad decisions on the pitch he took, and I think yesterday he should have swung at a couple of pitches that he took, but he had some tough pitches to hit. I think he's still sorting it out, but I like his approach a lot better than last year. And I think he looks to me like someone that he's confident. He's going to make adjustments that he needs to make. And his throws now, he looked better throwing earlier than he did yesterday. His pop, he needs to get up out of that crouch and fire a little quicker.
He had a bad day throwing yesterday. He's usually a good thrower. Yesterday was a bad day.
And I think it's his pop. I think getting up and throwing it. I think he's a little bit late coming out of the crouch and throwing the ball.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck, appreciate it, brother. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. I'm heading out there on Friday. I'm probably not going to do the backfield stuff because it's going to be incredibly hot. I don't know if my wife
100 degrees next week.
Yeah, and we that heat. For an old guy, man, it's hard to do. It's a long walk out to the backfield. So, I don't know. My wife is going to go. I'll probably have to eat those tickets. Somebody wants one. I'll probably have a couple.
Well, take me some videos and pictures and send them my way. I'd love to use them on any of our socials.
I will do so. Would I just send them in an email to you?
Yeah, that same email that I've been sending with you.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, brother. Thank you, man.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, awesome. And that is Chuck. Chuck is always an awesome talk. It's awesome to get to talk to Chuck. So, hey, let's get into some of our conversations that I want to kind of get into. Emmett Sheehan, I thought it was bumpy yesterday, and so let's not take my word for it. I wanted to hear from Emmett Sheehan. Let's play some audio from Emmett Sheehan's post-game interview yesterday. So here's Emmett Sheehan.
I think I just need to work on execution a little more. Still, knocking the rust off a little bit, but I feel good. Everything arm-wise and body-wise feels good, so yeah.
When you kind of look at that, do you think it's a few mechanical changes, or just where are you finding some of those? I don't know if you would say it's command or just kind of lack of stuff issues are coming from.
I think getting back to some stuff we did last year, definitely. But overall, feel pretty good.
Yeah, so you can see the answers there. I think Emmett Sheehan's kind of like, well, it's young in the season. We've got this, we got that. He's not worried about it, but I do sense some frustration there. So Emmett Sheehan got to knock the rust off. I thought that was the important word there. He will do that. He's a fantastic pitcher. And, hey, it's spring training, but yes, so it's kind of you're in that middle part of the spring training to where, yes, it is spring training, but it's getting to the end of it. So you do want to start ramping up to being, at least close to the best version of yourself to get the season started. So it's pretty telling there. Emmett Sheehan was pretty frustrated with the fact that he didn't execute the way he wanted. But then again, Emmett's so smart and he has things in such great perspective. He'll think about that. What he'll do, here's what you have to do. He'll take that frustration, he'll turn it into motivation, especially with his next bullpen, and he'll become even better for however frustrated he was. So one of the most important, or one of the most impressive parts of yesterday to me was River Ryan. And so here's the question. Is he a starter? Is he a reliever? Is he a piggyback guy? Is he multi-inning relief? What is he? So let's hear from Dave. This is a clip from Dave talking about the possible role for River Ryan moving forward.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of, wanting to put eyes on him in a major league game and not on the other side. There's a piggyback situation, obviously. We had Emmett starting today, so just to know that he can do it, I think was a good thing. And then also we had River come out of the inning because he wanted Tanner to come into an inning, and then we'll have he'll have 2 days off, and then he'll go 2 out of 3. So we did that with intent as well.
So there you can see. I mean, the Dodgers, they don't do anything without a big-time roadmap. I mean, they had the intent of bringing Tanner Scott in for 1 inning, that kind of deal. They wanted to see the piggyback of River Ryan because here's what I'm trying to say. He doesn't have to be a starter to be a starter. So what a piggyback pitcher is a starter. So if you expect, say, I wouldn't imagine the Dodgers would ever expect more than, say, 4 innings out of River Ryan until maybe about June, maybe late June, because he's ramping up off of the Tommy John. So having said that, I think you could control the length of his outings better as a piggyback. Let's just call it a piggyback starter, if that makes you feel better. So if you have a regular starter, then you're going to say, well, we need 5, maybe 6 innings out of that regular starter. If you call this guy a piggyback starter, then I think you can say, well, we only need 3 innings out of our piggyback starter, because if we get, say, 6 innings out of our regular starter, now we've completed the entire game. So I am in favor of River Ryan not necessarily being a quote-unquote starter, but being what they call a piggyback starter, where he can pitch multiple innings, 3, maybe 4 innings, and then at that point they can control the amount of innings that he throws, and then they can either move off of him for the 8th or 9th inning, or he can take us home in those games. So I see River Ryan as a starter, yes, but in a reliever role, and a starter in a reliever role is what they call a piggyback, and I think that's the perfect role for him. That's what Dave was talking about in that clip. And then at the beginning, he was asked about wanting to see River Ryan in a relief role and what he thought, and Dave almost immediately pivoted to, well, we wanted to see him in a piggyback role. So that kind of is a telltale to me, at least reading between the tea leaves there. So, okay, there was also a question for Dave on both of the Ryan brothers. We talked about what do you do with Ryder Ryan. So let's hear Dave's comments on both River Ryan and Ryder Ryan.
River was really good. He made the one mistake, got behind to Bowers, and hit a home run opposite field with the fastball. But the stuff was really good. Some strikeouts in there, command, getting him through 2 2/3, something like that. Felt good about that. Ryder, I thought, was good as well. He was efficient and gave up some soft contact, but again, filling up the strike zone, and loved to compete in both those kids.
Yeah, 100%. Very competitive, both of those young men. And so I don't know what Ryder Ryan's role is going to, as far as where he's going to be, all that. I will go as far as to say the Dodgers did not bring Ryder Ryan to the organization for him just to be a AAA guy. This is a guy with major league experience. This is a guy that's a first-class athlete. I mean, he was a third baseman at the major league, or at the high Division I level at North Carolina. As long as he stays healthy, I don't see any world in which Ryder Ryan does not spend some time with Major League Los Angeles this year. I think he's going to be mostly in Oklahoma City, but still, I just think that he's going to spend most of his time. He's going to spend at least some time and make an impact at the big league club. So look for Ryder Ryan to make an impact. I think River Ryan will start with the major league club. I think he's going to start as that long reliever / piggyback starter, if you will, whatever terminology you want to use. and go about it from there. So a guy I wanted to revisit here, this is a left-hander, Antoine Kelly. We covered him just a minute ago. But look at those long levers. This is 6'5". Look at that whip. And what I kind of wanted to show you here is as he delivers the baseball, okay, kind of watch the delivery. Watch how he drops the ball. I want you to see his drop right here, right here. See how he drops that ball low. So there's three kind of drops. You can drop it low, you can come out straight sideways, or you can come up here. So the lower you drop, the longer the stride you have to let your arm catch up. So the droppers like this tend to have the better extension because they have to have the longer strides. So for one, he's going to have better extension because he's a dropper with his separation. And then from two, just look at the angle of his shoulders and watch the buggy whip here, right? Watch this buggy whip. This is that's pretty hidden right there. And then whenever you're throwing at 95, you're 6'5", you have good extension, and then you have a good sweeper behind it. Antoine Kelly is a guy, I just think he's one, just watching him, he's one of those guys, kind of the NC Almonte from a couple of years ago. Maybe even, hey, could it be another Evan Phillips? That kind of thing, to where you tap into, because this is a guy that forever, I mean, I'm just telling you, coming out of Wabash, people have been talking about Antoine Kelly forever, about how much potential this guy has, because he has the ability, I'm not saying he always has been, but he definitely has the ability, even with all that deception that he has in his windup and the size and the extension, he has the ability to be a good strike thrower too. So I wanted to revisit Antoine Kelly because I'm super excited about him. I was excited to see Cody Morse on the field yesterday. You got to see Kyle Nevin. So that was a lot of fun. Hey, I know these are kind of shorter shows, but that's okay. But I've got to get, so that's going to do it for today. I want to thank Chuck for joining in. I want to thank all of you, wonderful Dodgers dogs out there, for tuning into the show again each and every day, 9 o'clock Pacific. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.